You got a raise this year. Maybe it was 3%, maybe 5%. Maybe you picked up overtime, worked more hours, pushed harder than you ever have, and somehow, your bank account still feels emptier than it did 5 years ago. You're not imagining it. You're not bad with money. You're not doing something wrong. There are 4 specific, documented mechanisms working against you right now, quietly taking money out of your pocket every single month without you ever seeing it happen. In this video, I'm going to name every single one of them, show you the exact math, and give you 4 moves you can make, starting this week, to start fighting back. Let's go. Let's start with the number everyone knows, but almost nobody has actually done the math on: inflation. Since 2020, cumulative inflation in the United States has been approximately 22 to 24%, depending on the data source you use. That means something that cost $100 in January 2020 costs about $123 today. Your wages went up too. But here's the problem. Wage growth for blue-collar and working-class Americans has averaged about 15 to 18% over that same period. So inflation went up 22%. Your wages went up 17%. That 5-point gap is called real wage decline. It means that in terms of actual purchasing power, what your dollar can buy, you are earning less today than you were in 2020. Even if your paycheck shows a higher number, let me make that concrete. In 2020, the average blue-collar worker earning $50,000 per year could buy approximately $50,000 worth of goods and services. In 2026, that same worker earning $57,500 after raises can only buy the equivalent of about $47,500 in 2020 dollars. They are making more money. They are poorer. And here's where it gets worse, because the official inflation number averages across everything, including things like technology and clothes, which have gotten cheaper. But the things you actually spend money on every single month have inflated at rates much higher than 22%. Grocery prices up 30% since 2020. Car insurance up 45%. Rent up 28% in the average US market. Healthcare up 24%. Utilities up 26%. None of those are in the future. Those are now. Those are your monthly bills. The raise you got barely moved the needle on any of them. Here is the one most working people have never heard of, and it has quietly cost the average wage earner thousands of dollars. It's called bracket creep. Here's how it works. The IRS adjusts federal income tax brackets for inflation every year. But the adjustment is based on the official inflation number, which, as we just established, is lower than the real-world inflation working people actually experience. So here's the scenario. You were making $52,000 in 2022. Your raise this year brings you to $58,000. On paper, that's a $6,000 raise. You feel like you should have more money, but here's what happened in the background. That $6,000 raise pushed part of your income into a higher tax bracket. Depending on your situation, you might now owe 22% on some income that was previously taxed at 12%. Your take-home went up by less than you expected. Your lifestyle costs went up by more than you expected. And you feel it. That familiar feeling of making more money, but somehow having less. This isn't hypothetical. The Tax Foundation has documented bracket creep as a systematic, ongoing cost to middle-income earners. It doesn't make the news because it doesn't happen all at once. It's a slow, invisible drain. The fix, and we'll cover this in the action section, involves using pre-tax accounts to reduce your taxable income and keep yourself in a lower bracket. It's one of the most effective legal strategies working people never use. This one is personal. Every year, employers hold open enrollment. And every year, the cost of health insurance, dental, vision, and life insurance goes up, usually significantly. According to KFF, the Kaiser Family Foundation, employer-sponsored health insurance premiums have risen over 40% since 2020 for the average American worker. Let me show you what that actually means. Say you got a $2,800 raise this year. Sounds real. Feels like progress. But your health insurance premium went up $85 per month this year. $1,020 annually. Your dental plan went up $12 per month. $144 per year. Your life insurance and disability contributions went up slightly. Call it another $200 for the year. That's $1,364 in benefits cost increases. Out of a $2,800 raise, you effectively received a $1,436 raise, not $2,800. And yet, your cost of living went up by the full amount of inflation regardless. This mechanism is almost never discussed because it doesn't show up on your paycheck as a deduction you can easily see. It gets buried in the benefits calculation that most workers never audit. The result? Workers who feel like they got a significant raise, but whose actual financial position barely moved or went backward. This is not your employer's fault. Healthcare costs are a structural problem in the American economy. But understanding this mechanism is the first step to accounting for it in your financial plan. This is the deepest one. And it's the one that explains why the gap between people who work for money and people who own things keeps getting wider every single year. Here's the fundamental economic reality of the last decade. Wages grow at roughly the rate of inflation. Sometimes faster, sometimes slower, but they track inflation roughly. Assets, stocks, real estate, businesses grow faster than inflation. The S&P 500 has returned an average of 10.5% annually over the last 30 years. Real estate in most U.S. markets has appreciated 6 to 8% annually. So if you work for wages, your income grows at 2 to 4% per year in real terms. If you own assets, your wealth grows at 6 to 10% per year. Over 20 years, that difference is not 6% versus 3%. It's the difference between a $200,000 net worth and a $1.4 million net worth, starting from the same place. This is not a complaint about rich people. This is arithmetic. The mechanism is built into how economies work, and it works for anyone who owns assets, not just the wealthy. The factory worker who bought a house in 2010 and kept their 401k invested through every market crash. They were on the asset side of this equation. The worker who kept their savings in a checking account earning 0.01%, they were on the inflation victim side. The difference is not income. It's what you do with income once it arrives. Now we get to the part that matters. Because everything I just described, inflation, bracket creep, rising benefits costs, the wage asset gap, none of it is new. None of it is going away. But every single mechanism has a countermove. And here they are. Action number 1. Negotiate raises tied to CPI. Most people accept whatever raise their employer offers, usually 3 to 4%, regardless of inflation. The next time you negotiate your compensation, come with data. The Bureau of Labor Statistics publishes the Consumer Price Index monthly. If inflation ran 6% last year and your employer offers 3%, you are accepting a pay cut in real terms. Present it exactly that way. Professionally. With data, I appreciate the offer. Given that CPI ran 5.8% last year, I'd like to discuss a raise that at least keeps pace with inflation. Here's what I'm looking for. Most people have never had this conversation. Most employers have never had an employee present it this way. It works more often than you'd expect. Action number 2. Use pre-tax accounts to beat bracket creep. Every dollar you contribute to a traditional 401k, HSA, or FSA reduces your taxable income. If you're at the edge of a tax bracket, strategic pre-tax contributions can keep you in the lower bracket, saving you more in taxes than the contribution costs you in take-home pay. Example, you're in the 22% bracket. You contribute $3,000 more to your 401k. You save $660 in federal taxes. Your take-home drops by about $2,340, but your retirement account gets the full $3,000. You effectively got $660 from the government to fund your retirement. This is legal. It's in the tax code. And the majority of working people leave it unused. Action number 3. Audit your benefits annually. Every open enrollment period, before you click through and accept the defaults, spend 30 minutes actually reading your options. Compare the total cost of each health plan, including your premium and your maximum out-of-pocket. If you are healthy and rarely use medical services, a high-deductible plan paired with an HSA account may cost you significantly less annually. An HSA is triple tax-advantaged. Contributions are pre-tax, growth is tax-free, and withdrawals for medical expenses are tax-free. It is one of the best financial accounts available to working Americans, and most workers with access to one never maximize it. Action number 4. Start owning something. This is the most important action and the most overlooked one. You do not cross from the wage side of the economy to the asset side by making more money. You cross by owning something: a house, an index fund, a rental property, a small side business. You do not need a large amount of money to start. A Roth IRA accepts contributions of any size, even $10. The S&P 500 is accessible through fractional shares for under $5 on most brokerage platforms. The point is not the amount. The point is which side of the equation you're on. Every dollar you own in an appreciating asset is a dollar that grows at asset rates instead of wage rates. Over time, even small amounts started early, that is the entire difference. Your paycheck feels smaller every year because 4 real documented mechanisms are working against it simultaneously. Inflation is outpacing your wages in the categories that matter most. Bracket creep is quietly raising your effective tax rate without changing your bracket. Rising benefits costs are consuming a meaningful portion of every raise before you see it. And the wage asset gap is widening the distance between you and people who own things instead of just working for things. None of this is your fault. All of it can be addressed. Negotiate raises tied to real inflation. Use pre-tax accounts to reduce your tax exposure. Audit your benefits every single year. And start owning something, anything, as early as possible. That is the whole plan. 4 moves, available to anyone, starting right now. If this video helped you see your financial situation differently, share it with one person who needs to hear it. That's how we build wealth together. Subscribe and drop a comment below. Which of these 4 mechanisms hit closest to home for you? I read every single one.